Well, hello everyone. My name is Dar Rath and I'm the pastor at Faith Lutheran Church in Port Elgin, Ontario, Canada. Each week I bring you a story that takes about 5 minutes to watch. And this story today is from a book called Our Canada, Our Country, Our Stories, and it's written by Ed Papazian from Kanata, Ontario. From a humble orphan's beginnings to an outspoken public figure, my father, Albert Papazian, served his country well. Born in Aintab, Turkey in 1911, Dad would have been around 5 during the dire Armenian genocide that occurred from 1915 to 1917. Along with his mother, brother, and sister, he escaped to Aleppo, Syria, after his father died during the First World War, presumably as the result of the genocide, although Dad never confirmed that. Fatherless, the family roamed the Middle East for about 3 years. My dad said, "As a boy, I remember being hungry and cold all the time, wandering from one place to another, scrounging crumbs here and there, and sleeping wherever we could find shelter." In 1921, his poor mother, who died a year later, surrendered her children to an orphanage in Lebanon. Dad was only 10 at the time. 5 years later, Dad and his brother were sent to Canada. Fortunately for them, they were selected to be part of an experiment in refugee support. It's called Canada's Noble Experiment, was the first humanitarian act on an international scale by our country. An article in Toronto Globe on February 28, 1923, titled "Shall We Let Them Die?" enlightened Canadians to the plight of the many Armenians in Aleppo, Syria. It described how the Armenian Relief Association planned to bring about 100 boys, mostly teenagers, to a farm in Georgetown, Ontario. The first group of 50 arrived in Georgetown on July 1st, 1923. The Toronto Globe continued its effort to encourage and publicize Canadian efforts in support of the Armenian refugee cause. In an item dated April 18, 1923, under the title, "Little Armenians Will Be Welcome to Home in Canada," it gave the little town of St. Mary's, Ontario, due credit for its campaign to raise funds. In another article, on April 23rd, Woodstock and Oxford County came in for praise for having pledged the sum of $4,000 in aid. Dad arrived in Georgetown in 1926 at the age of 15. By 1927, a total of 100 Armenian orphans had arrived there. Dad spent only about a month at the Georgetown orphanage before being indentured to a Dunnville, Ontario farmer. He put himself through high school by taking night classes while working full-time. At 27, he entered the Ontario Agriculture College in Guelph, one of the few Georgetown boys to receive a post-secondary education, and he graduated in 1942 with a Bachelor of Science degree in agriculture. After marrying Molly Gilmore, an Irish immigrant, he bought a farm in Winona, and they continued to work it until 1990. In the 1970s, Dad organized reunions for the Georgetown Boys at the farm in Georgetown. The farmhouse is still there in Cedarville Park, now designated as an Ontario Heritage Site. "I have always felt the need to make a contribution to the country that accepted me when I was in need," Dad said after accepting the Stony Creek Chamber of Commerce Citizen of the Year Award in 1980. That sense of service to Canada drove Dad to hold office as a Stony Creek councillor between 1973 and 1980, and to help found the Georgetown Armenian Boys Association. He also helped found the Salt Fleet Growers Cooperative and the Winona Peach Festival, a centennial project started in 1967 that is still held to this day. Dad passed away at the age of 79 in 1990 and is still missed. Wow. It's amazing what one person can do if they really put their mind to it. Imagine this poor guy, this poor teenager being brought to Canada, went to a farm, and then put himself through school, and then went on to be a counselor. Amazing. Thank you so much, Ed Papazian, for telling us about your dad. Thanks for taking 5, and blessings on your day.